Hi everyone, this is Duke with a video regarding the Flight Simulator's number 3 PicaSim assignment titled Rates. And in this video I'm going to explain the assignment itself a little bit, and then we're going to talk about rates and how to set those up on your transmitter. Hopefully this will be helpful for a review or reference at home. We will talk about rates in class as well, so this won't be the only instruction you have, but a nice reference. Okay, so regarding the assignment itself, we're going to have multiple videos this time. We take different clips of us flying in PicaSim, at least 3. You can do more if you'd like, but at least 3 videos of 45 seconds apiece, okay, of you flying any plane in any location in PicaSim, right? I would just use the trainer if it were me, since it's a little bit slower, easier to see some of these differences, but whatever you'd like to do is okay there. You then can combine the 3 videos into one video for upload. And so down here in this section, I have a couple links. I'll have an instructional video on how to use these tools in this area as well when you do the assignment. But basically, you have 3 different clips. You're going to want to merge them all into one video, then upload that video to YouTube. So it needs to be a single video link that you give me for the assignment. And so you'll want to use these tools to just merge the videos. With the type of videos we're making where they're not very long, these tools work pretty well. They're just web-based. So you have to upload the videos, merge them together, and then download the completed video. I found the tools to work pretty well when I tried them the other day, so I will show you how to use those, though of course you're welcome to use any video tool you'd like to merge the 3 clips into one. Okay, hopefully that explains what you need to know for the assignment itself. Again, 3 video clips of you using what we're going to call default rates, and then we'll say modified rates number 2 and modified rates number 3, and then you have those 3 clips, you merge them together, and you upload that to one video on YouTube. Okay. I will add in this assignment, please, if you don't have it in the video, like if you're not talking in the video or something like that, please just write a note, say, hey Duke, I tried default rates first. These are my second rates, these are my third rates. So I know what you're doing in the video since you might not have any audio. Okay. But that's an easy way for me to understand what you're doing in the video, and you can kind of show me visually, or you can speak over, some audio in the video if you want to get the explanation in there. Okay. And then in this assignment as well, I'll probably have you submit a couple of photographs from your transmitter screen of your rates, so you can show me that you physically set those up in your transmitter, as well as showing me how they fly in the simulator, if that makes sense. So the video link and a couple photographs can be used to show that to me. All right, and we'll go over how to do that in just a second. If you are worried about the logistics of it, I'll talk about that when I talk about these links in the other instructional video for this assignment. Okay, for right now we're going to focus on how to actually change rates in our transmitter. So I'm going to go ahead and go in my recording tool here, and we'll turn on our dock cam. Okay, hopefully you can see it okay. It's the only way I could really get the screen and the buttons in view. If I go straight above, then there's too much glare from the lights. Unfortunately, I don't have a great recording setup here, but this should work okay. So you should be able to see the buttons here and stuff on the side of the screen, and then here's my radio screen. You'll see if I tilt it up, I get that awesome glare. Yeah, I wish I had some studio lights in here or something, but that's okay. So what we're going to do here with our radio, this is a Radiomaster TX12. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main screen here. This is just the model I'm working with on the radio. But you can see I have the buttons here and scroll wheel. You might have a Zorro or a different type of radio, but if you're using Edge TX, then this should be the same as what I'm showing you here. Okay, so to do adjustments to our rates, okay, what we're going to need to do is navigate to a specific part of the model menu. Okay, rates are a per model adjustment. So if I have 3 different planes I fly, I'll probably have 3 different models in my transmitter, and I might not want the rates to be the same for all 3 planes. So this is a per model adjustment that we're doing right now, not a system adjustment over here. Okay, so when we have our rates, or also they're called weights, I should mention that. In Edge TX it's called the weight, though people often refer to it as dual rates, or what are your rates when you're flying the plane. Okay, we're going to be adjusting basically when we move the physical stick. Okay, what does it actually do to the control surface, elevator, aileron, rudder, whatever it is, right? If I pull the stick towards me and it goes to maximum movement, then that would be 100% rate or weight. Okay, if I pull the stick towards me and it only moves maybe 70% of what it physically can move, I've adjusted the rate or the weight of that specific axis, in this case my elevator stick, when I pull it towards me. Okay. This is similar in many ways to what if you fly FPV or the racing drones, people talk about what are your rates. Okay, it's similar to that. However, that's often done on the flight controller side. So on the aircraft side, in the flight controller, the small computer on board, you would adjust those rates. Whereas when you're flying a fixed-wing aircraft that doesn't have a flight controller, then you would adjust things in your transmitter because that's the only place you can really adjust them. Okay, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So if I am on my main screen here, I'm going to long press model, and we'll get this menu here. Okay, and we have a little designator up here in the upper right hand corner where it says 1 out of 11. Let me try to adjust this a little bit more, a little bit closer perhaps here. This is really, my dot cam is not the most flexible in terms of how this works. Let's try that. There you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so 1 out of 11 up here. We're going to hit the page key over until we get to the inputs page. Okay. And your inputs page may look a little bit different if you have the stock model on your transmitter. You would probably just have one line for each axis, aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. So yours would look like these three here, but aileron would look the same and just have one line versus the three that I have on my screen. Okay. I'm going to show you why that looks that way, and we'll talk a little bit about it. If I select any of these, axes here, so let's select elevator since it hasn't been modified at all. We're going to long press on our scroll wheel. Now we're going to select edit. Okay. If I go into this page here, we have a graph on the right hand side, and then we have a bunch of menu items on the left hand side. Okay. Make sure I'm not getting that too much in the glare. Come on, camera, let's focus a little bit better. Sorry guys. Okay, there we go. All right, so as I move my elevator stick, I'm physically moving the stick towards me now. You can see that little crosshairs go all the way down to the bottom. And we get negative 100, negative 100. So these two numbers here are X and Y axes. Okay, so as I move all the way towards me, I get that full deflection, negative 100. Opposite's true. If I push it away from me, we get positive 100. Okay. So as I go down this menu here, we only have a couple things we're going to worry about right now. That first one there, weight, is basically the same thing as rate. So if I select that with my scroll wheel, and oops, not that one. Let's select the 100 with my scroll wheel. Okay. And if I change it, you'll see the lines start to change. Let's change it to about 70 or so. Okay. There we go. Now when I pull the stick all the way towards me physically like it was before, we get negative 100 here. Okay. It's still moving the stick all the way towards me, but the result is only negative 70. So that's what my airplane would actually see as the negative 70. That makes sense. So the negative 70 would be like the y-axis here, and the negative 100 is like the x-axis. Okay. So if I wanted to reduce the weight or rates on my aircraft, I could do something like that. And now when I move the stick, it only goes from negative 70 to positive 70. Okay, so we get less movement. If this was my elevator would physically move less because the signals it was getting from my transmitter would be smaller. Okay, so we could adjust that to change the line there, right? If we wanted that to happen all the time, no matter what, when we were flying. Let's put this back to 100 before we forget to do that. Okay. And let's look at this other one here. So this next one down here is offset. We're not going to worry about that right now, but the curve here, we can select Expo, or we can select custom curves and functions. I wouldn't worry about that. Just leave it on Expo. If you select this 0 over here though, you can click on that and you can roll that up. And as you see, the line starts to gain an exponential curve there in the center. So this is really exaggerated. You probably wouldn't fly with this much expo, but we can see it creates kind of a flat spot in the middle of the graph. Okay, so if I move my elevator stick again, in the middle, it doesn't really move much in the y direction at all. So, I can go, what is it, negative, almost negative 20 or so before I get any movement on the y-axis. So we have negative 20 down here and hardly anything up here. Okay, but once I pull the stick all the way towards me, I still get negative 100 and 100. Okay, or if I push it away from me. So the maximum movement is still there. The elevator will still move to its maximum extent, but there's kind of a plateau or a flat spot in the middle there where I can move the stick around a little bit. and really nothing happens to my elevator. It physically wouldn't move hardly at all if I was in this flat area. Okay, so that's a difference there. Sorry, the sun just started streaming through the window where I'm recording, so we're getting washed out a little bit, but I think we're okay. So the expo there will adjust that curve will get adjusted just like that. Okay, if we wanted to put a more reasonable, whoops, let's say a more normal amount of expo people would fly with, maybe around like 30 or so, might be better, more average, I guess. That gives us kind of a little bit of a flat spot in the middle there, but it's not too exaggerated. It just makes it so the relationship's not totally linear. So there's a little bit of leeway there. You can see if I move the stick just a little bit, I get, like a -6 up here, but a -10 over here. And so that's not quite linear in the center. But as I go to the maximum extent of the stick, we still get -100 and +100. So if you don't need to reduce your rates, like you want the full movement of the control surface, that's fine. You can leave the weight at 100 up here, but you might adjust the expo to give you a little bit smoother control so that not every little bump or tiny jitter of the stick gives you a lot of movement on your plane. Okay, we'll take that back to 0 for now. So that's how you would adjust it in general. If I adjusted it here, I would get that movement, that adjustment on rate or expo basically all the time. I wouldn't be able to change it, okay? And that's one thing I'll show you here on the page. I have 3 different menu items right here. I only have one on elevator. So if I want my rates and expo to be all the time one specific way, that's fine. But sometimes you'll hear people say I have dual rates. So they might have one set of rates that's moves their control surfaces a lot, okay? And one set of rates move the control surfaces just a little, right? So perhaps when the plane is flying slower or faster, they want to have more movement, and when it's the opposite, they want to have less movement. And that can be for takeoff and landing. You could have a different set of rates than for when you're flying. If you have a plane that goes very fast, once you're going very fast, you don't need to move the control surfaces as much because there's a lot of airflow over them. So lots of different reasons why you might have dual rates or triple rates or whatever. But in this case, I'm just going to show you how to do that, and you can decide for yourself when you might want to use the different rates. And the sun has really come through the window now, so I'll try to keep this shaded a little bit so we can see. Okay, so here in the aileron section, or even an elevator, whatever rates you're going to adjust, you select the first number, in this case the 100, okay? And if I select that with a long press on my scroll wheel here, we get that menu again. Now instead of hitting edit, I'm going to hit insert after, okay? And now we see we have a same kind of page here, but if I return back a couple times, now I have 4 lines under aileron. So I added another line after the main line, which is what the menu said to do, okay? And that's how you add other lines. So to get the 3 that I had, I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. So we have those 3 again, right? And to allow us to change rates in the air, we can use a switch, like one of these switches, okay? And that switch will allow us to select which rates we're using. So we can see here, if I move the cursor a little bit, you can see the bolded number as well as the SF here changes as I flip that switch, which you can probably hear. Maybe you can hear it on the video. Okay, as I flip back and forth, I can select which set of rates I want to actually use right now. So to do that, we have to go into the first line item, so the 100 line item basically. It might not always be 100 if you adjust it, but the first line item there. Go into that, long press, edit. We can leave it to whatever we want it to be at. In my case, I'm going to leave it at 100, but I need to assign down here a switch. Okay, so see the switch item here. If I click on that, then I can flip whatever switch I want. Let's say I want to use SC instead. Okay, I'm SC, and I flip it back and forth. Oh no, actually I want to use SF. I'm going to use that since I do want to use that for this demo. I'm going to flip SF into the position I want it to be in when I have these rates. So I'm going to flip it away from me, and then I'm going to hit center or select my scroll wheel here, and that will save that one. We're going to return out. Okay, and now we have the SF over here, and again it's highlighted right now because it's in that position. So then I would add a line. So I go to here and I'd say insert after, right? And I go to that second line. I'd long press, edit it. I would change my rates or expo or anything else you really wanted to change. In this case, I just changed the weight to 70. And so that that is selected there, but we need to tell the transmitter when I want it to be 70. So we go down to switch again, and we select that so it's blinking. We flip our switch into the position we want it to be in so that it's 70. So in the middle position of the switch, I want it to be 70. And then we press that. We return out of there. And now we have a 70 right there with our aileron when the SF is in the middle position. Okay, so we see the bold change there, SF. Okay, we do this again. We add one more line. In this case, I'm just using 3 since I have a 3-position switch. So we'd say insert after. I've already inserted one, so we'll just go ahead and select it. Long press, edit. Okay. And in this case, I had the weight selected to 80, but I added 40% expo. So I have those settings how I want them. I then go down to switch again. Okay. I select it, and I move the switch that I want into the position that I want, which is towards me. Okay, I select it and I hit return, return again, and now we have those 3 items there. Okay, so again, if I move my switch SF, I can select which set of rates and expo that I want to use, so I can have it away from me for one portion of the flight, and then go, okay, now I want to use this rate during the flight. While I'm flying, I can flip that switch, and it will then change my rates on my plane, or I go to that 3rd position there. So that's how you add the different amounts of expo and rates and stuff. For the purposes of this next part of the demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and select this one and edit it into an even lower rate, just so we can kind of see it more pronounced in the simulator. I'm going to take it down to like 50. I don't know that you would really do that very often in flying, though I haven't flown like jets or anything, but this is going to help it be more pronounced in the simulator. Okay, so there are our 3 different aileron rates. Okay. And that's how you set up rates in Expo, basically. You have different light items you select, and you can do that as much as you want, as many different rates as you want, and you can select them for different control surfaces as well. I don't think that it's very common to use rates on your throttle control. You might maybe put a curve on your throttle if you want to have a curve on it with some Expo in the middle there. But I don't know that's that common. But for aileron, elevator, and rudder, and other control surface you might have different rates for those. And if you wanted to, you don't have to control each set of rates with different switches. You can control them with the same switch as well. So let's say I wanted to put my elevator rates along with my aileron rates to kind of move together. Right? I might even put aileron, elevator, and rudder all together. So I can just use one switch to go from, say, takeoff and landing rates to slow fly rates to high speed rates. Okay, to do that, it's the same process. You just go into the elevator. We're going to say insert after. Okay, and we have inserted after now. Now we can go into the top one here. We can edit it. Go down to switch. We can select SF away from us. Okay, and now we see, if we go back, that we have SF up, so both of these rates are now turned on. So for the second one here, we'll go ahead and edit that, long press and then select. And I'll turn this rate down to 50 just for fun. Oops, that was way too far. Like our other one there. So we'll say rates, and then we'll go down to our switch, and we'll say SF in the middle position, and we'll return, return, return. There we go. Okay, so now we see when we flip the SF position into the top position, there's 100 on elevator and 100 on ailerons. In the middle position, we have 50 and 50. Now, I don't have to have 50 and 50. I could change that just so you understand. It doesn't have to be the same. We could say it's 59, okay? And it still works, right? Up, we're at 100. Down, we're at, oops, sorry guys. Okay, so up, we're at 100, okay? Down, we're at 59 and 50 and 50, right? So we could have a different amount of throw or weight on our elevator as our ailerons. So you can link all those together if you want to. You can just have individual control surface rates. Say you want the elevator to stay the same the whole time, but your ailerons to change. Then you wouldn't mess with the elevator like we just did here. Okay? All right, so let's get this into the simulator and see how that works. Okay? So let me back out of here into the main screen. Okay, here's a quick little tip. If you have an Express LRS radio that has this capability, you can use a Bluetooth connection to your computer to allow you to control your PicaSim. You don't have to plug it in with a cable if you don't want to. I like to use the cable if I can, but if I have a radio that doesn't do that, then I'll use the Bluetooth. Okay. To do that, you're going to go into Sys, go to your Express LRS script, press on that with the scroll wheel. Okay. And then you're going to go down here to the BLE joystick, Bluetooth Low Energy Joystick. Okay, I'm going to hit select. Joystick's running. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and connect to it with my computer, make sure it connects up there. And we're going to start PicaSim. So I'll turn the dot cam off here. And here's PicaSim. All right, so in our free fly flight mode, I'm going to select that. Let's do the powered trainer here. Okay. So hit OK. All right, so we have our controls should be moving just like they are on the screen in real life, the little white boxes again. Okay. And so what we can do now, I'm going to hit play so we can kind of get a view from behind the plane. It'll be a little easier to see. Okay. I'll kind of move the plane up a little bit. Sorry, this noise is probably not great in the video. Okay, there we go. And so if I move my ailerons, okay, you can see them move decently right now. Okay, but if I hold the aileron stick over and I move the rates switch I set up earlier, okay, I'm going to move it to away from me. You see the ailerons move a lot more there. I didn't move the aileron stick at all. I just changed the rates. So you can see that deflection of the ailerons changes. Okay. Let me restart this and we'll look at it from the other angle. You might be a little easier to see. So here I have basically full rates, 100% rate on. I'm going to deflect the ailerons with my joystick to the right. Okay, and now I'm going to move the switch to the middle position while I'm holding the aileron joystick over. And we'll see the ailerons move and reduce their weight or rate. Ready? There. Okay? You see that? And that little white box on my aileron control actually moves as well because the sim doesn't know any better. The sim just gets the signals from my radio. That's it. Okay? And so you can see that white box over here moving as well. My aileron joystick is in the same position the whole time. I'm just moving the switch to select which rates I'm using. Okay? If we go to the third position, we get kind of an intermediary there, right? But there's some expo on this one. That's the difference on this one is there's expo versus no expo. Okay, so I'm moving it back and forth in the center. No expo here, expo here. I'm moving my thumb about the same amount, but you can see it's not moving the white box quite as much. Okay. Now all this is on the ground, obviously, but what I want you to do for the simulate or for the assignment is to fly the plane. So let's go ahead and fly it around a little bit. Okay, so I'm in full rates right now, and so let's see if I can get up in the air. We'll kind of try to do a roll, maybe. So here's a rollover. Almost going to crash there with full rates. Okay. And then if we go to about, let's say, the middle position, so I think that was 70% rates. I can't remember. But the rollover takes a lot longer. Ooh. Okay, because I can't move the ailerons as much in this rate position. They don't move as much, right? Now you might say, let's compare the full rates, okay, to the rates with expo. Okay. It's hard for me to show this on the simulator, like because you're not flying the plane, but it definitely feels like I have more of a sweet spot or a flat spot in the middle, okay, compared to the full rates with no expo. The ability of me to kind of move the plane in that middle position is much more twitchy when I don't have any expo compared to when I have expo. Okay. Though I still get the full deflection either way because I left the weight at 100 for this rate setting with expo and this rate setting without expo. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, it's a little bit hard to show you all this on the simulator with the rates, but I think you'll get a feel for it once you do it yourself, which of course is the point of the assignment. So you'll want to fly around for one clip of basically each type of rates. Okay, you don't have to take off every time, but you want to fly around for a good 45 seconds in each mode of rates that you try out. Feel free to fiddle with those numbers and get the rates to somewhere where you like them. That's kind of the point. Take 3 video clips, combine them into one, and turn it into the assignment. Okay, that will be all for this video. Thanks.